Welcome, Shanita, to A Word to the Wise. It's amazing to have you here. I'm very excited about our conversation today. But before we get into all of that, I really want to learn more about who Shanita is and how you became a transformational coach.
Yeah, so nice to be in community with you. Thank you for having me. In 2015, I was sobbing on the New York City subway because I was burnt out and I had enough. And I was in a toxic job. I was people pleasing, overachieving, box checking. I mean, you name it. I was on the hot mess express, and I sought support from a life coach one day. I was considering a life coaching certification, and I did a demo coaching with a master coach, and she asked me to tune into my heart. And I was like, okay. So I like took a deep breath. I tuned into my heart, and um, a fierce warrior goddess by the name of Durga appeared. And in Hinduism, she is an archetype for courage. And her name literally translates into invincible. And she basically is a representation of victory over evil. And I remember seeing her growing up as someone who practiced Hinduism, but I didn't understand. We have so many gods and goddesses, and I didn't understand the power and importance of her. So she appeared, and she appeared in the form of a postcard, which I don't happen to have on me right now, but I picked up this postcard 10 years earlier when I was studying abroad in India. So it was almost like she found me, but I didn't really know why she was there. And then I realized, oh, you needed me to return to you. And so she comes up and she says three things that changed my life. She goes, I got your back. You're more than enough and you're not alone. And she reminded me of something I forgot I had, which was my courage. And so from that moment on, I was able to connect with her and call her in as my courage metaphor, and kind of just she rides a tiger and she's got a lot of arms and weapons. And so it was, to me, I call it like my wild tiger ride into leaving that job, becoming pregnant for the first time, embarking on entrepreneurship, moving into a new home, and really working with her for now the last 8 years in this very intentional way has really supported me in not just getting through those obstacles and getting through those huge major life transitions that so many women are going through, but to really forge my own fulfilling path to becoming victorious. And I think one thing I would share here is that the word victorious, we think it means triumphant, good over bad, or we will win. And it is. That's what it means. But also by definition, it means to be fulfilled. And I didn't know that. And so I just thought to myself, oh, this isn't just about being courageous to like overcome the things and check off more boxes. This is about how do I wake up every day and ask myself and feel victorious, feel fulfilled, feel in alignment with my purpose, as a mom and as someone who, does healing and spiritual and coaching work. And so she has just been an instrumental part of me becoming a transformational coach and how I've been able to serve other moms and other women throughout the last 8 years.
I really want to talk about, why it's so important for you to work with mothers. And I know that you obviously were trying to get over the hump of, being an expected mother. But aside from that, why do you think it's so important for you to work and connect with mothers?
Hmm, what a beautiful question. So I refer to Durga as Ma. We call her in Hinduism Durga Ma, or Ma for short. And Ma is also a term we use to venerate a lot of other powerful, mighty goddesses. But, Ma and moms, right? They're nurturers. We are protectors. We are caretakers. There's so much power and wisdom that we have inside of our bodies, inside of our spirit. And I think that becoming a mother, I felt sort of imbued with this new power that I hadn't had before, this new level of understanding and grounding and awareness. And I think me becoming a mother, I mean, like I was just trying to figure that out. But over the years, I realized, wow, there is this innate power that I have inside of me. And moms are struggling. We are struggling so much. And forget it, after the pandemic, are you kidding me? Like, we we're up to here, we're past here when it comes to all the stuff that we have to deal with. We have no institutional support. We're really trying to do our best for our kids. And when you come from a history of marginalization or oppression, it's even harder. So there's a lot that we're tackling on a mind, body, spirit level. And I think as I was going through that, I realized, wow, like I'm not alone. Moms out here are not alone either. Like we can all support each other. We can all not just call in our own courage, but encourage each other. The word encourage means to give courage to someone else. I can't tell you, like, I wouldn't be where I am today. Sure, I've had Durga, but I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have other mothers and other strong women and other people in my life encouraging me to get through all the things. And so I just found that working with this sort of maternal archetype, I ended up becoming a demonstration of courage. I ended up becoming a demonstration of ma to my kids. And my hope is that I can support other moms along the way too with whatever wisdom I've got. But I'm also learning because I'm not have not arrived, you know. So yeah, that just feels really important to my purpose right now.
Beautiful. Just a disclaimer for the listeners. I'm not a mother, but I have a lot of friends who are mothers or who are hoping to be mothers, in the very near future. And I hope to be a mother in the near future as well. But in some ways, I've really felt like a mother my whole life because I'm the eldest of four daughters, and I really had to set the example and be a source of nurture to my little sisters. So I want to ask you, how would you define what a mother is, right? Because so many people who may not have biological children of their own are in roles where they are nurturing their community, nurturing other family members. And I was listening to a podcast with Tracy Ellis Ross. I don't know if you know who she is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's so
She
great.
was on the Glennon Doyle podcast, We Can Do Hard Things.
For
And she was,
things. Yeah.
yeah, she was saying how, she doesn't have any biological kids of her own, but she feels like a mother. She is a mother because there's so many different areas and aspects in her life where she mothers a lot and she nurtures a lot. So I just wanted to hear from you, like, how would you define who a mother is?
I think you said it really beautifully. I kind of share that definition and viewpoint, which is, you could be a mother to your community. You could be a mother or take on maternal roles in your own family, in your team at work, in your local church. I think it is the nurturing piece, it's the caretaking piece, and it's the love. And with the love comes sort of this intrinsic urge to protect and to look
Yeah.
out for. And yeah, I definitely feel like, especially as women, it's just kind of part of us. Part of our part of just ingrained in us
Yeah.
biologically a little bit. So I agree with how you shared it.
Yeah. Awesome. Some of the things that women who are mothers tend to face a lot is burnout, right? And they're always burnt out because they stretch themselves too thin. I feel like, especially for those who are used to putting themselves before others, if you start having kids, it goes um, a couple levels up from that. So one thing that you champion a lot is just being able to take care of yourself as a mother. So what type of advice do you give to mothers who are struggling with burnout and find it very difficult to put themselves first and take care of themselves?
Yeah, it's really hard. And I feel like I wish I could say, yeah, I have this perfect formula. I'm still every day, if not every hour, figuring that out. But I would say that, the two things I've seen a lot of my clients struggle with is asking for help and setting boundaries, which are very hard in itself if you did not have that kind of behavior modeled for you, growing up. And I think like now we live in an age of digital media where you can find a meme, a podcast, a YouTube video. You can find resources that will support you with how to ask for help and how to set boundaries. However, the thing that helps put me in check and helps me get back to those moments of reprieve and respite that I need during the day to like help ground me and help center me amidst the madness, right? Amidst cooking, cleaning, laundering, you name it, right? Caretaking is asking myself, what do I need? And so, for anyone listening, have you asked yourself lately, what do you need? What do you need? Do you need rest? Do you need support? Do you need fun? Do you need adventure? Do you need quiet time? What do you need? It doesn't have to be self-care. It could be like it could just be anything. It could be fresh air, right? It could just because even self-care seems like a very like high pressure loaded word. Like the I used to coach people on self-care because I was coming from my own burnout, but then I realized self-care can sometimes feel laden with like, oh, I gotta go do the thing now, and it ends up becoming one more thing to do, and we don't want it to feel like that, right? We want the energy of what we're about to do to feel light, to feel peaceful, to feel in alignment with what supports us in a good way. And so if you ask yourself, what do you need? And say the word is rest. I just always keep coming back to that because moms are just really tired, right? If I need rest, then I realize I need a nap. So if I need a nap, that means that I might need to ask my husband to watch the kids. So there's the asking for help. I need the nap. Oh, that means I've got to get upstairs and close the door and I got to set the boundary. So it's almost like asking yourself what you need ends up being like the guidepost, right? To help you go, okay, now if I need to meet this need, how do I get the other things in order to meet the need? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And what you said about self-care sometimes feeling like work, I think you're absolutely right. We have a lot of resources online, but there's this kind of like, is it self-care if you're not at a spa? Or is it self-care if you're not doing it a specific way or taking a bubble bath? And for some people like me, sometimes that's a lot of work to.
Right, you gotta finish the whole thing. I gotta go clean the bathtub now. I gotta go set up the thing.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
crazy.
work. Like, so I love what you said that, sometimes self-care is just thinking about, what do I need and what's going to bring me peace. And sometimes that's really like, I just need to sit on this couch for 10 minutes or binge watch a show. I just think, again, I think with social media, there's this whole like aesthetics with it, like, oh, like self-care. I have a glass of wine and I'm in
Yeah.
a bubble bath. And that could be self-care for a lot of people. But for some people, it's a lot of work to put together. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and I love what you mentioned about social media because here's the kicker too. I think especially for moms and just women who are busy in general, right? We are working. We are working hard.
Yes.
And there's a lot of mess. There's a lot of mess happening in between, whether it's emotional, whether it's the way your house looks, right? And social media ends up being this trap because we're doom scrolling and we see these very curated versions of what motherhood and self-care and all of these different aspects look like. And I'm like, man, I would have to go brush my hair, clean my living room, and do all these things before I could even make a video of me and my kids doing the thing, right? And show what behind the scenes looks like. So that's another thing. We live in an age where a lot of moms are putting themselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I love that word aesthetic, right? It's the aesthetic is like on point. And it's like that's not reality.
Right. It's not
That's the
reality.
highlight reel. That's
Yeah.
them taking an hour beforehand to set up their ring light and to like it's so I think I know for me I have fallen into that trap, especially someone who makes content and I put it on social media
Yeah.
to really like check myself and go, no, that is if that does not feel in alignment with me, I'm not going to do that one. And two, that that's very curated and
Yeah.
it's just this
Like you said, it's not reality.
it's it's just
Yeah.
not. It's
Yeah.
just
And we
not.
fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to other people online because their lives look so perfect. And that kind of segues perfectly into my next question, which is there such a thing as being a perfect mother, right? Because it's something that, I think about for myself in the future. Like, I want to be the best mom to my future children. And am I going to get it right? Because, I was having a conversation with my couple of my friends and my sister one time, and I was like, you know what, like we find our parents super annoying right now and we feel like they drop the ball on so many things, but there's a high chance that we might drop the ball for our kids too, because they're going to be in a completely new generation, and what we think is correct, they might be like, that's wrong. Because I'm sure our parents were probably better parents than their parents, and so on and so forth. But we still find them a little bit. Um, we still find that sometimes they may or may not drop the ball. So, long story short, is there such a thing as being a perfect mother? And how do we give ourselves grace and also our mothers grace, right? Because we all have mothers as well, or parents in general, when we feel like they've dropped the ball.
Yeah, so the word perfect, the minute you asked the question, I was like, no, there isn't such thing as a perfect mom because there is no such thing as perfect. So, perfection itself is a fallacy. And what I share in the book that I just wrote, Dear Durga, is that where I used to bend over backwards and kill myself over trying to be perfect at work, be perfect at home, be perfect for my kids, I ended up doing what I call C plus work, which is like, I'm just getting it done. I'm getting it done. I'm setting my intention to put in my love and my care into it and just do the best job I can with the resources that I have. And I think that's just it, right? Whether the resource is time or energy, like we're very strapped right now. And so I think just getting it done is enough. And for the things that do require more care and attention, you can certainly right allot that time, but it doesn't have to be for everything. And I think the way so I would say becoming a mother really opened up a lot of my little girl wounds. And I didn't realize it was happening until it was happening. And I was like, ooh, oh, whoa, memories, things that I forgot about for decades started to come to light because as you're parenting your own child, you're like, oh, whoa, whoa, this is coming out, They're reminding you of things that you didn't even realize were still inside of your body, inside of your heart, trapped away in your memories. And so I think the way I think I definitely have a lot more compassion for my mom, who was a single mom of three, holding it down for us. Um, but I also am aware of the opportunities I have, as a first generation American. And I find that just doing something like asking myself what I need is disrupting a mindset and behavioral pattern that is important, and that is in relation to intergenerational trauma. For many folks, especially if you come from a history of marginalization, that intergenerational trauma, which basically means the mindsets and behaviors that were passed down from someone who came before you in your line, who went through some kind of trauma. Could have been genocide, it could have been slavery. In my case, it was Indian indentureship. Those things carry down generation to generation. I didn't realize I was carrying it until I realized I was carrying it, right? And so I was just making a choice to say, okay, am I going to work myself to the bone and burn out? Or do I want to be a demonstration of courage to my son and my daughters and let them know it's okay to rest? It's okay to ask yourself what you need. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be present and not on to the next thing. And when you talked about being a successful mom, I think I've reframed that. And now I am asking myself every day, like, it's not about being successful, it's about being victorious. Like, I want to be a victorious mom. I want to be a mom that feels in alignment with my purpose and where I feel fulfilled. And I feel like I got a win. If all the only win I had was that I was able to have my full cup of coffee hot without having interruptions in the morning during breakfast time, to me that's victorious. So um I think, at least for me, I'm trying to I'm on sort of this courage crusade right now to support women and helping them not just activate their courage and keep it alive, but like how do we all feel victorious day in and day out? That's where I want to be. I want to be in that spot.
Yes, you said that so beautifully. And, just to expand on the courage part, because I think it's so important. What does a courageous mom look like to you? Is that a woman who's making sure that she's still exploring and, going towards her dreams while also being a mom? Is it someone who defines what motherhood is? What does that mean for you when you talk about helping women find their courage in motherhood?
Mm. Courage comes from the heart. And so in the framework that I share around activating your courage, connecting with this, and it doesn't have to be a warrior goddess. It could be a tree at the local park. It could be a mountain. It could be a late ancestor, right? That the source of courage that's coming from your heart is someone or something that is the energy. It's this dynamic energy inside of you that's reminding you of why you are here and what you are meant to do. And I don't want anyone listening to think like, oh, like now I gotta like try to pursue all the things. No, that's not true. That the timing might not be right for you. There are a lot of dreams and aspirations I have that I've had to accept that I can't do that now, but I can't do it yet. Whereas before, fear was saying, oh, you can't do that. You're not doing that. Look at her doing it. You're not doing it. You're not enough. And now my courage is saying, oh, you are so capable of doing it. In fact, you're building the foundation. You're building a rock solid foundation for you to do it when that time is right for you. Right now your kids are small, and don't worry. You will get it done and you'll be able to show them. And so um a courageous mom or a courageous woman in general is connecting with that energy inside of them that is overcoming the self doubt, the daily discouragements, and the daily discomforts. And that in itself is a whole job. But doing that work is what declutters all the stuff that gets in the way of you forging your own fulfilling path. Whatever that path looks like. You could be a stay at home mom. You could be a woman running a seven-figure empire. The point is that path feels in alignment with you. And half the time we're in survival mode because we're just trying to get it done. I'm trying to send my kid to school. I'm trying to send the email, whatever it is, right? We're just trying to get the work done that we don't get to clear space for what is that burning desire in our heart, for what's important for our spirit and our soul. And so, yeah, I would say that to me is what, courage looks like.
That was so amazing. And you said something that I loved that you said, which is, um, I might not be able to do that yet, right? Like talking about the fear of, because a lot of people have this fear of, well, if I become a mother, I'm just going to lose my life. I'm going to lose who I was before. I'm going to lose the ability to chase what I need to chase or go for what I want to go for. And that fear mongering, might have a lot of people who might want to be mothers maybe think the other way, which is fine. It's fine to go through that journey. But I like what you said because there's not a lot of, I haven't heard anybody else put it that way where it's like, I can't do that yet. It's not a situation of I won't do it or it's not a possibility. It's just right now, there are probably different seasons in my life where I might have to rearrange things or rearrange certain goals or reprioritize certain things. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen for me. So I really love that you said that. I think that's going to unlock a lot of people's thought patterns. Around not being able to do certain things because they have kids. And something else that you said, I hope I don't forget. Yes, when you were talking about just healing a lot of intergenerational trauma, I think that's so important. I think, like I said, I'm not a mother yet, but I'm actively working on healing whatever trauma that I have because, that really can add to a lot of the fear and self doubt when it comes to motherhood. So I love everything that you said there because when you were talking about courage, I thought about my mother. And when you were talking about intergenerational trauma, I thought about all the healing that I'm doing now for the future kids that I have.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Like, see, you just mentioned your mom.
Yeah.
Like, you have an exemplar. And so when you have an exemplar, it just is so much easier. And I think that helps. And courage. is that energy within you that's going to help you picture what's possible, because fear will tell you otherwise. And there was something that you said earlier that was really important for, someone who wants to be a mom or moms right now to remember, is that, yeah, you're actually not going to be able to do things the way you used to do them. And there is a lot of grieving that has to happen. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't even, that grief doesn't really come up until we're actually, we just had the kid and we're like, holy crap, like, now I get it. Now I see. And that's okay. I think I've spent many years grieving the old version of Shanita who could just do everything and take on the world. Um, but she's not dead. Like, like, that version of me had to go so that this new version of me could be born. And this version of me is way present, way less burned out, not burned out at all. And
Wow.
I'm really proud of the way I've evolved. I actually don't want to be that version of me anymore. And when you connect with your courage, it will always show you the vision. It will always remind you of what's possible. Um, because you can, you got this, you can do this. And don't you want to be that demonstration to your own kids, right? We're setting them up for victory for the next
Yes.
generation.
Yes. How did you feel about Rihanna at the Super Bowl performing pregnant? Did you watch it or did you hear about that?
Yes, I did watch it, and I was squinting at her stomach. I was
Right, me too. I was
like,
like,
I, I think that's it. I just thought she's doing it.
yeah, yeah.
She's doing what it is that she is meant to do. Um, I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Mm,
There were a few social media posts that I saw. I mean, there were millions of social media posts that came out afterward where there were a lot of people critiquing and saying, like, see, that's an example of um, what it means to like be enough. You don't have to like be doing a million choreographies on a stage. You don't have to, you just show up and that's enough. And so I was just like, we need to hear that more.
yes.
And we need to hear that one more. Like,
Yes.
great, a superstar who's got it all just showed us, but like, I need it. Like, the moms who are out here
Yeah.
don't have childcare, who don't get on stages with microphones. Like, I guess I kept thinking about all the women who are not superstars, all the women who don't necessarily have that level of resource. Um, we need to hear that more because we're not hearing that more. I'm not always hearing, that you're enough, even if you got takeout today for your kids, or, we're sort of, I feel like the burden is on ourselves to remind ourselves that we are enough. And I'm like, no, I could actually take on, I'd love a whole team of people. I'd love a whole community or legion of people to remind me of that too. So that's where I think, that's where I kind of go when I think about that performance. Because I could be on pregnant. I could be pregnant on, I could do what I'm doing and still be embarking on motherhood or be a mother, but I need that encouragement too. Give me that. Give me a whole vat of that. Like every day, twice a day. Cause like that's what I need. I love connecting with Durga Ma, but I really need human beings on the ground who know what I'm going through to be like, you go, sis. I got you. Don't worry. I see you. I hear you. That's what I need. And that's what sort of helps me get through day to day.
Yes, yes. I love everything that you said about just showing up and being enough. I think as women, whether we're mothers or not, I feel like we have to kind of perform all the time and come out with a bang and, just be over the top in order to be noticed or feel like we are worthy of recognition. And I loved Rihanna's performance. I definitely was looking at it like, oh, she's moving a little bit slower. Like, but I saw the bump and I was like, is she? I feel like she's pregnant. But even if she wasn't pregnant, I thought it was an amazing performance. And sometimes the simpler it is, the better. So I agree with everything that you said. My next question really is for women who really want to be mothers, um, or they've lost a child. Do you work with them, and how do you work with them? I know that you are into Reiki, and you have some psychic gifts as well. Do you use those gifts to work with these types of women if you work with them?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I have worked with women who have lost children or who were pregnant or who were already mothering and growing and expanding their family. Yeah, as a there are many modalities that I integrate into the work that I do with women and moms. And so I started off as a life coach, but that sort of expanded into, Reiki mastership and sending energy healing. And that I do virtually because we're in a virtual world right now, right? No one's got to get up, change their clothes, go somewhere, find parking, right? You can work with the healer online, but really, I do like oracle card, reading mediumship. I think it's all integrated because, mothering and motherhood, that world is also very spiritual. There's so much spirituality intertwined in that. Um, and so it just inevitably, all of those modalities kind of feed into the support that I work with. And I know that for me, that has been an instrumental way that I've been able to heal some of my intergenerational wounds, but also carry on and feel encouraged day in and day out to keep doing, to keep growing, and to keep, taking care of my family.
That's amazing. So now I want to get into your book, that you're releasing this month. Yes. Yes, yes, I love it. So it's called Dear Durga, a mom's guide to activate courage and emerge victorious. So, what inspired you to write this book, and what are you hoping that people get when they read this book?
Oh, funny story. I didn't want to write the book. I knew one day I wanted to write a book. Like that was just something I'm a writer, so like I was like, oh, one day, a few years from now. But in 2021, I had just had
Yeah.
a child, and it was the pandemic was still pretty intense, and I remember figuring out like an identity crisis postpartum again. What am I doing with my life? Where's my business going? All the things. And then later on in the year, Durga is like, "Hey, so you're going to shut down some of your other coaching projects and you're going to start writing a book." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I want to write a book. I'm trying to figure out my life right now. Please do not give me one more thing to do." So that was fear um calling me an imposter, saying, "Who are you to do this? You cannot do this. Who do you think you are to do this?" And so um, I had to go through some stuff. I had to really go through some acceptance work to accept the divine assignment is what I call it. And once I came on board, uh, she sort of opened this pathway for me, introducing me to resources to help me learn how to write a book. I was able to enter my book proposal into a contest. I won the runner-up prize. I was able to get a self-publishing package, and that package offered the funding support that I needed to finish my manuscript and get it published. So I didn't go into this endeavor all happy-go-lucky. I was very resistant because I was like, whoa, there's way too much on my plate right now. I don't think I can do this. And my courage said, yes, it's possible and you're going to do it. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And so I had to excavate 7 years of my life from journals, because the reason why this book is called Dear Durga is because I wrote to Durga almost every day. Dear Durga, I don't know what I'm doing today. Help. I need the courage to get through this thing. And so I had to sit down. I had to read all of these journal entries. I had to kind of relive some of the stuff that I had been figuring out as a mom, as an entrepreneur. And what was crazy was that in 2018, there was a journal entry that said, she responded through channel writing, "Oh, we're setting you up for the book. It's called Dear Durga, and you're not ready yet, but you will be ready. So just know that that's it."
Wow.
And then in 2019, I saw it come up again. I was like, I can't make this stuff up, but I
Mm,
don't remember writing it. I don't remember writing that. And I actually went to my computer and I started a folder
mm,
that said Dear Durga book. I was like, oh my gosh, this has been inside of me to do.
mm.
And, I believe in divine timing.
Yes.
And so she was just like, okay, you ready to do it? Go. And so it was pulling from my experiences in those last 7 years and my Courage Kit framework to support other moms like myself in other ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for anyone who, especially mamas, if you're looking, you're like, oh, there's this thing that I want to do, I want to make, I want to create, I want to put out in the world. If you keep a journal, or if you have a vision board or something like that, something that kind of documents something that you envision to do, consciously or subconsciously, go back to that, revisit that, because that might actually be the very thing you need to remind you and to reignite your hope towards doing the thing.
Mm.
And when I look back, I'm like, wow, she was setting me up. And I was getting my stuff in order. And even back then, I was like, I want to write a book, but I wasn't ready to do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the book came to be.
Wow, what a powerful story. I love stories like that. I definitely believe in um divine channeling and just putting things down that and going back and being like, wow, I wrote this down and this is now the reality. This is now the timing for this to come into fruition. So I think that's so powerful. And I think this book is going to be so instrumental just from talking to you. It just sounds obviously like you've been doing the work. You're very tapped in, and I think you're going to share so much wisdom from this book. Could you put it on the screen one more
Oh
time?
yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, this is the
Yes.
book.
Yeah. It's available
Available
on Amazon. And how
It's
can
on
people find it?
Amazon,
Okay.
Barnes and Noble. And I'm also working on an audiobook. So for mamas, I know
Yes.
you're on and busy women in general, right? I know you're
Yeah.
on the go, you're doing 50 things, you're taking your walk outside while you're listening to your podcast, while you're doing your breathing exercise,
Yes.
right? So I'm working on that right now, and I'm hoping to have that ready to go on wherever audiobooks are sold, hopefully by the end of March. Um,
Awesome.
so the audio version will be there. I'm narrating it myself because it's a self-help memoir. So it's
Yes.
important that I share my story
Yes, absolutely. It's important
about
that we hear your voice. Yes. This has been such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I think it's going to be so helpful to a lot of the moms out there. And before I let you go, this podcast is called A Word to the Wise. So I
it.
always ask all of my guests for final words of wisdom. It could be related to everything that we've been talking about or something completely different that you kind of keep in your back pocket as you go through life.
Hmm. I would share that if it wasn't for my courage, I wouldn't be where I am today. So connect with you. Don't be afraid to connect with your courage, because it can be a compass. It can be a North Star to
Mm,
um, help you become victorious.
yeah.
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 And,
I
and
love that.
I have a little courage activation exercise. It's like a little audio exercise that I can totally share. Where it like just takes a few minutes to just try it and see. It's like a visualization exercise to support you with connecting with that courage. Because I think a lot of the time, especially as women moms, like we're like, where is it? It's out there, right? It's like, no, courage isn't out there.
Yeah. It's inside
All in
you.
here. Yeah. But
Yeah.
when you're too
Yeah.
tired and burned out, right? It's hard to tap into it. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. A lot of life is just tapping into to courage, which you said is in the heart, which is, getting more connected to our heart center, which I think is amazing. So thank you again, Shanita. Where can people find you if they want to work with you or learn more about you or, check out your book?
yeah, so coachshanita.com/book. That link not only has information about the book, but there are a couple of things that you can get. If you sign up, you'll get the courage activation exercise emailed to you, and then you can play that wherever you are, if you can spare 5 to 10 minutes, because that's a really important exercise to help you connect with your courage. And then in my book, I also wrote a courage manifesto, and
Oh, nice.
it's just been a really helpful tool for me to stay encouraged. And so folks can get that. And then at Coach Shanita is my handle, and you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I think yeah, and I'm TikToking right now. So You can find me there too. But just know, like, mamas, anyone who's listening out there, you are enough. You are more than enough. Um, and the only goal is just to honor you. That's it.
Amen. Love it. Thank you so much, Shanita, for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.